Hi, Sven from Webiny here. I want to show you some of the new things we launched in our version 5.35 on our Headless CMS application. I'm now inside the Headless CMS, inside the content models area, and I want to create a new content model. So I'm going to click this button, and this is one of the first changes you'll spot. This new content model dialog has some new fields that you haven't seen before. So the first thing we did is we've exposed both the singular API name and plural API name for you to control, because previously when somebody was creating a content model and they would name their content model, let's say book, we would automatically use that name as the singular API name, and we would add then an S for the plural API name. Now that worked great for if you used English words. But if you used words in any other language, well, it didn't fit, right? So we decided to give that control back to you, so you can type in the proper singular and plural API names by yourself. Another thing that we added was the icon field. Icon field is gonna show up in a couple of places just for nice interface for the content editors, right? And lastly, you'll notice a new checkbox here that says create model with default fields. Essentially, this would pre-populate the content model with a title, description, and an image field automatically for you. If you untick it, it's going to be empty. But for this example, let's keep it active. So let's create our content model now. All right. So now we're inside the content model editor area, and you will see that we got our predefined fields inserted automatically for us. And you'll also see this new label. So this label tells you which field is an entry title, which field is an entry description, and which field is going to be used an entry image. I'm going to talk more about where those are actually used in a moment. But in case you add more fields to your content model and you want to change which field is going to be your entry image or an entry description, when you add that field, you can just click the three dots here and a menu will pop up with those options for you. All right. Besides those three new fields, the majority of the work we invested in the Headless CMS went into the reference field. So let me insert one reference field here, and I'll show you some of the changes. First, I'm gonna name this reference field as an author, and it's gonna pull records from the author content model. The Appearance tab now has two options for the reference field. The default option is the detailed view with modal search. So this is the new reference field. It controls the visual aspect of how the reference field is displayed to the content editor, and what interactions the content editor can do with that field. The other option, reference input, is the old reference field interface, which is that drop down with an autocomplete. We decided to keep both for you to use, because the old input has it behaves better for certain use cases, like when you need to reference tags or any entries where you don't need to see the full blown details of that entry, so you don't waste screen real estate with unnecessary information. So for that, you can use the old one. But in this demo, I'm going to focus on showing you the new reference field design. So let's save that field. I'm going to add another one. Instead of author, I'm going to say multiple authors, and in this one I want to actually use the ability to select multiple author entries, so I can show you both how a single author field looks like and how a multi-author field looks like. And lastly, I want to show you a reference field. Let's add it here. That is author or book. In this reference field, I want to demo how it looks like when you can select entries from multiple content models. All right, so let's save that field. one other thing that we added as a visual feedback for the reference field in the content editor is that now the reference field displays to which content entry it's going to be pulling the records from right here, so you don't need to open this dialog to see. And the other thing is that if you have multiple multiple content models inside the reference field, it's going to signal that by telling you what is the first content model that you selected, but then how many more are they, right? So here I've got 2 because I've linked both author and book. All right, so this is from the editing experience. Now let's move into how this looks like from the content editor. So let's click view content. All right, let's click on new entry. So here we have now our 3 reference fields. I'll start with the author one. This is the field where the content editor can select any single entry from the author content model. And under that field, you have the option to either create a new record, which is going to show you the author content model form to add a new entry, or you can link an existing record. If you click that, you will see this new dialog. This dialog is used to search for which entry you want to do. So instead of having that small little autocomplete drop down, now you have a full model dialog where you can quickly search for entries. And the entry itself gives you more details, right? So first of all, you will immediately see from which content model it's coming. This is the entry title, this is the entry description, and this is the entry image. So that's why those 3 fields are important to give you good visual feedback. Now, for example, if you don't have an image, instead of an image, we would display the icon of that content model. So still ensuring that it is providing a good user experience. Underneath, you will find a couple of additional information as well. First of all, you will see if this particular record is published or in a draft state, when and by whom it was created by, as well as if the record was modified. There will be another similar field here telling you who and when modified the field. And there's 2 options here, view and select. The view option would open the detailed view in a new tab of this record, and the select option allows you to select that entry to populate the reference field. So because it's a single reference field, you can see I can only select one. So let's select that one and save it. And you can immediately see here that, again, I got the whole card with all of the options. So I have the full visual feedback about the details of the referenced entry. And if in case I want to change this one, I can just select another one, or in case I want to remove it, I will just remove it. Right. Very similar to the single reference field, the field where we can select multiple entries works pretty much in the same way. The only exception is that I can select multiple entries, right? And I can say that. You will see immediately how many records this field has, because sometimes the field might have hundreds of records and you really don't want to count that, right? So here, again, to save the space, the screen real estate, we put a wrapper box around this field so that this field scrolls the content inside of itself, ensuring that you don't have a big section of your screen just with reference fields. The added option inside the multi-reference field is that you can move the records now up and down. So I can move this one down or up. Now, if you have a list with like 50 records and you just linked another record and the system put the record at the bottom of the list and you need to move it to the top, but there's like 50 records in between, we added the option that you can hold shift, click, and it would move that record to the very top of the list. Similar option works for if you want to move to the bottom of the list. So you just hold shift and click down and it's going to move that record to the bottom of the list. And again, as before, in case you want to remove a record, you just click the remove button and it's going to unlink that record. And the last reference field change is that when you have a reference field that is allowing you to select records from multiple content models, very similar to these ones, but the only difference is it's got a drop down, and this drop down is asking you to select which content model you want to use to select the entries. So I want to select entries from the author content model, right? Or I want to select the entries from a book because I have no books, it's empty, right? But the point is that this allows you to immediately filter out what records you're going to see in this model dialog. All right, so these are the changes that we introduced in this version 5.35. It's mainly all based on a user feedback that we got from our community and our customers. So I hope you're going to enjoy these. And if you have more feedback for us to share, just give us a ping on our community Slack. We are heavily doing our planning based on the feedback we received there. So we hope to hear from you soon. And that was it from me. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll see you around. Bye.